Join me as I run through my full body mobility routine, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating the exercises for 3 reps each so that you can follow along and get the most out of each and every exercise. So I'm going from a downward dog with knees bent, arms completely straight, all the way through into a cobra where I'm pressing into the ground, pinning my shoulder blades back together, and then elongating and stretching through my core. I'm doing the opposite as I go into the downward dog, and then I'm going to walk my hands in, leaning as far down as I can, coming into an inchworm walkout. So from here I'm going to inch my hands back, trying to keep my legs as straight as possible. If I can't, then I just bend my legs. If I can't reach my hands to the floor, that's totally fine. I'm just going to go as far as my range of motion allows me to. Then I'm coming down into that downward dog again with those knees bent into a tall plank where I'm pressing through my scapula, keeping my arms straight, and then pushing my chest back all the way towards my knees. Coming down into a cobra again. Now I'm going to twist to access a little bit more on my hips here and rotate. I'm looking over my shoulder so that my hips and my core begin to rotate through into the position that I want. Next, we come into a scapular push-up, and if you're unable to do this one in a full push-up position, you're going to do the same thing on your knees, just like I'm about to show you. So from here, we would go into what's known as a cat-cow. However, the muscles that we're working is going to be our scapula all the way through our spine, and what we're thinking about in the lower body position here is to tuck our pelvis round and underneath. Next, we come into a dynamic child's pose where we're going to be leaning left to right to lean into those lats a little bit more and then access deeper into the hips. I love this next one where I cross over my hands and I lean further into my lats, rotating and trying to touch my armpit to the floor. As you can see, I'm doing 3 reps of each just so you get an understanding of the move and how it looks. If at any point you need to take a rest or a break throughout this video, pause it, do so, and then come back to it. Then we come into threading the needle, where I'm pressing one hand into the floor and then I'm reaching my arm as far through onto the other side, trying to get my rear delt down to the floor and then rotating my torso. So 3 reps each side, I'm really rotating my torso and looking up to the ceiling here while I exhale. Breathing is going to be very important on these ones because what it's going to allow you to do is stay relaxed but access longer, further ranges of motion. Next, we come into the wrists, a very, very important joint that we need to make sure is mobile and active before we do any sort of exercise or just starting our day. So as you can see, I'm going into some wrist rotations where I'm going to inch my hands round as far as my mobility allows them to go. The more you do this, the more mobile your wrists become. And then we come into an archer stretch. So we're going through the front delts, the chest, and across the collarbone here. This one can be done as holds or as you see me doing it dynamically right now. You're just tapping the bicep and the delt on the floor and then breathing into that stretch. If you want to make it slightly harder, you can just lie down in that position while you're doing so as well. So you're doing a full archer stretch. Then we come into a standing position. Going to activate the legs a little bit here. So we're going to do some squats, minimum 3 reps. If you want to do a little bit more just to get a nice pump, go ahead. It's definitely worthy of warming up your legs properly. And then we come into what's known as a camel stretch. So we're going to be utilizing the full range of motion here, but if you're unable to do this, again, go as far as your range of motion allows, just for safety. We want to be moving in pain-free range. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing my ankles with my hands and then trying to look at my feet. I'm going to change angle for you so that you can see it here. So I'm going to grab with my left and then my right. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, push my chest up to the ceiling, push my hands into my ankles, and then come round the other way to stretch my spine in a flexed position. So we've got an extended position here, and then we're going to go round into a flexed position, just like so. So 3 reps of everything, and then you move straight into the next one. This one keeps it flowy, keeps it dynamic, keeps it interesting, and it allows you to move through the whole body nice and efficiently. We're going into a full squat to a hamstring stretch now, where we're trying to do a forward fold into a full squat. The goal is to keep your heels down. If you're unable to do so, or you're unable to keep your hands on the floor, that's totally fine. Just go with what your range allows you to do. Then we're coming into one of my favorite stretches, the world's greatest stretch. So the foot comes outside of the hand, you come into a deep lunge, and what we're doing here is we're squeezing the glute of the back leg and pressing down into the floor. Next, we come into a hip flexor stretch and a hamstring stretch. So on either side of the body, we're squeezing the glute and we're rotating back and forwards. Back into the hamstring, forwards into the hip flexor. Back into the hamstring, head touches the knee if you can, and then we come back to that world's greatest stretch. From here, we're going to squeeze the glute and then pump the hip of the hip flexor to give it some dynamic activation. Next, we go into some rotation for the thoracic spine and the back, and then we're aiming to get our elbow to the floor and then twist all the way through, looking at our hand the whole time. As you can see, my head is rotating. Lastly, on this side, we're going to come into a deep quad stretch now. So if you can, you're going to lift up the back heel of the back leg and pull it into the body. This is level 1. If you want to go slightly deeper, you're going to drop the right hand down and then squeeze the left hand, pulling the heel into the glute and drop the hip forwards. As you can see, that one is a very deep stretch. So take your time with that and ease into it. Then we're going to come into the outside of the glute for an advanced 90-90 or a pigeon stretch, but we're doing this one dynamically because we're warming up the body and we're mobilizing it. We're not trying to sit in any positions for more than 5 to 10 seconds here. Then we're going to change leg and do the whole thing on the other side. So world's greatest stretch, hold the position, drop the back knee, come from the hamstring, come from the hip into the hamstring, and then backwards, forwards, as we did on the other side. I'm not demonstrating it again just because you've already done that. So you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we're going to change angle and come into the inside of the hips now, the adductors. So from here, just as far as your range allows you to go. This is very, very important. If you can't get down into this position, that's totally fine. Again, if you can't twist here in this position, that's totally fine. If you can, sit down into the Cossack squat, heel on the floor, elbow goes inside the knee, and you rotate following the hand, looking up at your fingers. Rotate through side to side. Aim to keep the straight leg as straight as possible. You can flex the toe or point it forwards to you as well. And from here, what you're going to be working on is ankle mobility, hip mobility, and then adductor mobility as well. Lastly, we're coming into a straddle forward fold to finish things off. We're going to go through the spine. So as you can see, I'm going to switch my head off in here and I've got a nice forward fold. What I'm doing is letting my elbows pull me down into the position further. Lastly, just to finish things off, we're going to go into a hinge to activate the upper glute and the hamstrings now. Take it off the spine, keeping my back as straight as possible, pushing my hips backwards, and then dipping my chest down and finishing. There you have it, guys. Full body mobility.